for joining us this evening. Like I said, promise to be very, very educative and impactful moments with our special guest. So when the time comes to do a proper introduction, you shall see his profile, and I can assure you that tonight there will be many takeaways. I'm with my pen, I'm a jotter, and I'm going to really, I plan to really learn a lot of things today. See, my interest, I want to give my opening remarks now. My interest of this topic was one day I occasionally just, saw the Facebook. So I brought it to the, office politics, and it was under aim. There were a lot of comments under the section. It does this for women, it does this for office, it does this in the leadership academy. So people were arguing, can a Christian, play, do something with office politics? A lot of questions. I got interested. I said, well, I'm a Christian too, and I find office politics a bit. I wasn't comfortable with it, but I now follow his response one after the other, and I took time to study what office politics is all about. That is actually, in as much as we work, in as much as you work in an office, whether you know it or not, you are playing one form or the other of office politics. You may not know it that you are playing office politics, but in one way or the other, you will learn on this platform tonight that absolutely and truthfully that every one of staff in the office plays one politics or the other. So this is my own remark, and I want to once again welcome you to 45 minutes with my HR. Thank you for joining us. We want to do, Mr. Sama, you can please unmute yourself so that we can.
Ebenezer, it's it's nice having another session of 45 minutes with my HR, and we're all delighted to be here. Thank you so much for that little introduction as well. I don't know, is our guest speaker already on?
Yes, please. It's here.
Wow, wow, wow. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you today, sir?
Very well. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
It's my pleasure joining
Yeah,
you this evening.
yes, sir. Okay, all right. So, Mr. Ebenezer, I need your permission to proceed. Can I go ahead with the
Please
rendition
proceed, sir.
of the guest speaker's profile, please? Should I go ahead?
Please go ahead, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, so the guest speaker for this edition of 45 minutes with my HR is Dr. Olatunji Shobodu, and I will quickly run through his profile. Dr. Tunji Shobodu is an international best-selling author, business strategist, turnaround consultant, entrepreneur, and a teacher. He has served at different levels in different capacities within the corporate, ministry, banking, academic, and private spaces for over 25 years. He has over 3 decades of experience spanning teaching and research, banking and finance, and entrepreneurship. He earned a bachelor's degree in statistics from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, and earned his master's and doctorate degrees in economics from the University of Ibadan. He has served in various non-executive capacities in the church, including membership of the board of regents of Covenant University, Ota, Nigeria, for 8 years. A highly respected and humble personality who loves to impact people with knowledge. He has a heart for helping people and mentoring. He exhibits unique spiritual understanding, insight, and perspectives that characterize his books. He is an author, is an active member of CLAM, a teacher in the Family Life Academy, and the coordinator of Men's Fellowship. He's currently the CEO of Dove and Books Media, as well as the CEO and lead facilitator at Emmet Leadership Academy. He's happily married to Dr. Mrs. Aderonke Shobodu, and they are blessed with wonderful children. Thank you so much. We welcome you, sir, to this edition of 45 Minutes with my HR.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. All right. I believe, do I have the floor now?
Yes, sir, you do.
All right. Thank you very much. Once again, it's my pleasure and my privilege to be invited to this session this evening. I had wondered how, Ebenezer located me because, I just suddenly saw a message, from him, and I would ordinarily not respond, but I guess, this was just to be. He still surprised me again this evening by, sending me a link to a talk that I gave, that I was privileged to give, just on Sunday.
Wow.
I was almost asking, is this man monitoring me or what? Anyway, so I'm here, and it's a pleasure. All right, so the subject matter for, this evening is deliberate. I'm pretty deliberate in the things that I do and say. It's office politics basics. And I know that, there was an exchange between myself and Ebenezer again on that subject. He wanted something, perhaps a bit more, a bit more intense. But I told him that no, let's start from the basics. One, because of the time that we have, we don't have enough time, to trash out the issue. Two, because my experience is that, many people have a problem with understanding what office politics is. And so, once we are able to address that, I think would have prepared everyone, to go in search of how to play it. And so that's what I'd like for us, to do. Yes, we do, offer, I've offered for, I think, about 8 weeks now, a free program where I talk about 15 reasons to engage and play or win at office politics. In terms of registrations, I think we've had about close to 3,000 people register. I think about 750 to 800 people have gone through it. And I think virtually everyone has seen the difference. So, I'm going to make it a bit informal, but come with me. Let's explore the subject matter, together. Now, one of the common things we'd find is people saying, I don't want to do office politics. Office politics is evil. I mean, as recent as the session I had last week, Friday, and another one on Saturday morning, I had comments like, office politics is evil. In fact, one even said office politics is satanic. We've had things like, office politics is bad. I will never, forever encourage it. Office politics promotes backstabbing. It's dangerous. I have been in a session. Somebody wrote in the chat when I was asking for remarks. The person said, when I said, okay, give me a sense of what you think, how you feel about office politics, the person, his own contribution was one word, And the word got me laughing actually. But it was serious. I mean, it was to be taken seriously. He said witchcraft. I said, okay, so office politics is witchcraft. I mean, and that goes to, explain to you how serious the matter is. I mean, if somebody feels that he's working in an environment and some people are busy practicing witchcraft in order for them to get ahead, then it's a serious matter. It's a serious matter. But I dare flip it around and say, okay, but I mean, if you knew somebody was, engaging in witchcraft in the office in order to get ahead, you haven't run away from the office. Or did you? You are still working in the office. So why the hatred against office politics? Yeah, because if it's that satanic, I don't think anybody should, work in any place where you have established that there is office politics, as at least the way that understood it. So that's the predominant perspective or view or disposition is that is negative. If I mean, in my classes, and I establish it virtually in every class. If there are 100 people in the class, 95 people will say negative things, to describe office politics. The truth is, one, it comes from their experience of what they believe to be office politics. And mark my words, what they believe, not what office politics is. Because I have often insisted that what you believe office politics to be is not what it is. It's not what it is. So like Ebenezer was saying, if you look at all the comments that were made, I mean, I take the pains to reply almost every comment on those platforms because by itself, it's an opportunity to educate people. You will just discover that we can't disagree. In fact, you shouldn't question what we're doing until we're sure that both of us have the same understanding of what office politics is. Because, I mean, if I'm talking about office politics and it's different from what you believe it to be, then what's the basis for our argument? We can't be arguing because we're not talking about the same thing. And that's the problem. The negativity is like, you are ascribing to a system what is not. What really is office politics? I'm going to use a simple illustration. All of us understand that organizations exist, isn't it? And, if I may, let me crave your indulgence for those who are with us in class today. I believe they can use the chat. Please use the chat. Just answer some of these questions. Now, in every organization, whether it is private or small business or NGO or government agency or even the church or perhaps the mosque, please tell me, do you agree that in each organization there are stakeholders? Are there stakeholders in each organization? Where you work, can you identify the stakeholders? If you agree, let's see your response in the chat. And if you can go ahead and mention in your organization who are the stakeholders. Identify categories of stakeholders. Stakeholders, for the avoidance of doubt, are people who believe themselves to be affected by what your organization does. So, while waiting for your response, let's look at telecom companies. Are you a stakeholder there or not? I didn't say, are you a shareholder? I said, are you a stakeholder? Of course, you and I are stakeholders. Why? Because what they do affects us. What they do affects us. Whether or not I own a line is a different thing. In fact, when you look at it, we may be in different categories of stakeholders in an organization. So if I own a line, I'm a customer. I have a stake. If I'm a customer in any organization, I have a stake. The staff in the organization, they have a stake, isn't it? Government has a stake, isn't it? Why do you think government regulates what happens in institutions? Because what the organizations do, what happens in the organization, affects the people or the society. And government is the one, many cases, that is supposed to stand up, and pursue or secure the interest of the people. Okay? Now, many of the organizations, and they owned by people, they were set up by people. There are stakeholders. All right, owners are stakeholders. You will call the owners shareholders. Thank you very much. I see some good suggestions here. So the staff association, is a stakeholder. The host community, like you have, for example, in the Niger Delta and stuff like that, they are stakeholders. Stakeholders were in oil companies, stakeholders in oil service companies. Now, you and I are stakeholders in government agencies, isn't it? We are stakeholders. I mean, we put them there. What they do or do not do affects us. All right, so we agreed that every organization has stakeholders. By definition, what have we just said? We have said that those stakeholders have what? Interests, isn't it? Every stakeholder or group of stakeholders has an interest. Their presence or their involvement, even if it's observing how the organization does its things or works, is because they have an interest. They have an interest. So, and stakeholders have different interests. Your interest as a customer is different from my interest as a staff. Our interest is different from the interest of the owners of the business, the shareholders. The shareholders want to make money. They want to grow their company to be big. The employee was your own interest. Perhaps you are in pursuit of a career. All right? Perhaps, and I would hate that is the case, you want to make ends meet. So, having a check at the end of the month may be part of your interest. What's the interest, of the host community? The interest of the host community, your activity should not spoil our environment. If you take the oil companies, for example. What is the interest of suppliers who are also stakeholders? All right? So every stakeholder has an interest that they are pursuing, isn't it? So, but please don't also fool yourself that because you and I are staff or employees, that your interest is the same with mine. Make no mistake, your interest may not be the same with mine. The fact that we are employees doesn't matter, sir. Doesn't matter, ma. We often make that mistake, thinking that because I'm your friend, therefore, and both of us are staff, we may even be on the same grade, that what you are looking for is what I'm looking for. That's being naive. Being naive. And you'll be disappointed because when the time comes, both of us will be considered for one position and only one of us can sit on that seat. That's when you know that although we are stakeholders, we have something at stake. You understand? I won't say because you are my friend I will yield the seat to you. Have you seen where that happened before? It doesn't happen. I mean, you came in differently, I came in differently. Even if we were friends, all of us are going somewhere. Where I'm going is different from where you are going. All right? Okay. So, number 2, stakeholders have individual interests. Can I tell you something? Many times, those interests conflict. They conflict. They conflict. So there is a conflict. What you want as a customer is not what I want as a staff. What you want as the owner is not what I want as a staff. All right? So when there is a conflict, what happens? There'll be trade-offs, whether you like it or not, but I'll come there. Now, whose responsibility is it to realize your interest as a stakeholder? Is it mine or yours? You can answer in the chat. Since all of us as stakeholders have our interests, whose responsibility is it to realize those interests? If you're an employee, can you please tell me whose responsibility, who should realize your interest? Are you waiting on the company, or you are waiting on the board, or you are waiting on the host community to come and pursue your interest, or you are waiting on your colleague to pursue your interest? Who? How, if you have an interest, how is your interest to be realized? Please, let's hear from the floor. I need to hear because that's central to the subject. All right. Now, so there are stakeholders who have interests, who take steps to pursue their interests. Thank you very much. So all of us agree. Each stakeholder has a responsibility to pursue their interests. What does that tell us? That tells us that how you go about, H-O-W, how you go about the pursuit of your interest is your responsibility. True or false? True. What is the how to achieve your interest? Is your strategy. Is your strategy. So every stakeholder has an interest that they are pursuing, and each stakeholder evolves a strategy in the pursuit of their interest. Are we still together? I hope we're still together. So, it is your responsibility to develop or to come up with a strategy that will bring about the realization of your interests. Now, so all of us, assuming we all take the responsibility. So you are pursuing your strategy, I'm pursuing my strategy, everyone is pursuing their strategy in relation to their interests as stakeholders, bona fide stakeholders. Now, each one of us will get a result, which I call outcomes. So your pursuit will yield some result. My pursuit will yield some result. The pursuit of the owners will give them some level of profit. Everybody gets an outcome, okay, as a result of their pursuit. Now, because organizations operate on the basis of finite time periods, so, say every year, every quarter, and stuff like that, our outcomes will be recorded over time. But what is clear is that each of us will have an outcome. What will be the outcome, for example, for the owners of the business? Maybe they make a profit and they get dividend, isn't it? They have invested. They have been pursuing their interests, which is to make as much profit as possible, all right? And they have pursued a strategy, part of which is to bring you and I to work for them, okay, and to do other things. So at the end of the day, maybe they make a profit. And at times, they make a loss, isn't it? At times they make a profit, at times they make a loss. You don't directly bear the brunt of the loss. You may indirectly, but the owners of the business bear the brunt of the loss. What are your own outcomes? You may get a promotion. You may get a reassignment. You may be appointed. All right? And you may be sacked. Those are possible outcomes for who? For an employee. So when you look at it, now, your outcome may or may not be in tandem with your interest. Okay? That is, you may not get what your interest is. What's the reason for that? There's at least two reasons. One, you are not the only one who is pursuing his or her interest. Two, your choice of strategy may be faulty. Okay? Relative to the choice of strategies that others employ. But every stakeholder, from time to time, on a continuous basis, records an outcome. The outcome is the product of your strategy. Note, you have already said that is your responsibility to pursue your interest. It's your responsibility to decide how, that is your strategy for pursuing your interest. So you must also take responsibility for the outcome of your pursuit. If it's a sack that is the outcome of your pursuit, it is not the doing of anybody, it is your own doing. Take responsibility for it. Instead of calling the system witchcraft. Are you following me? Are you getting my drift? So, what have we described? We have described the system that operates in every organization as one that recognizes that every organization has stakeholders. The stakeholders have their legitimate interests and they pursue their respective interests through strategies that they develop themselves. And as a result of that interaction, they get outcomes, which may or may not be in tandem with their interests. That system, ladies and gentlemen, is office politics. That system is what office politics entails. Please confirm to me, what if you agree that that system is what is typical in every organization, irrespective of the kind of organization that they are or may be, then what is there any witchcraft or any satanic or any evil dimension to that system? What we have described now, is it evil? Is it satanic? Is what we have described witchcraft by any means? Isn't that just a simple system? Isn't that what you met when you got the job? Is that system going to change what I've described? Does it look like something that will change? You know how long organizations have been operating in that way? As long as there are people who are the stakeholders, by the way. Notice, the stakeholders are not the robots. The stakeholders are people like you and I. Some of them have they wear different caps. Just like I said, I could be a customer and at the same time, I could still be a staff, for example. So, what's the problem with that system, please? What's the problem? The problem surely is not the system. The problem may be with the choice of strategy. The problem may be with the definition of interests. Certainly not how the system works. Let's take it a bit further. Should I take responsibility for your choice of strategy? Should I be blamed for your choice of strategy? Should I cry foul by your choice of strategy? Am I not free to choose my own strategy? So when people actually say that office politics is eye service, office politics is sycophants, office politics is pulling down one person so that you can go forward, office politics is joining, with others to form a clique so that you can be causing trouble, and all of that. They are describing the choice of strategy by other stakeholders in the game. They are not describing the system. They are describing the choice of strategy that certain stakeholders have chosen to adopt. So a man or a woman who is playing eye service, who is playing the psychophancy card, who is lying or deceiving others so that they can be favored or so that others can be disadvantaged in the office space, that's the strategy they have chosen to adopt in the pursuit of their own game. Question is, what's your own strategy? Because nobody can stop you from playing eye service. Nobody. Nobody. If that's how you want to play it, by all means, go ahead. And let's see whether it will work for you. But in our programs and in my discussion of office politics, I never advocate eye service. I never advocate psychophancy. I never advocate pulling down anybody in order to get forward. They are absolutely strategies that do not work. They have no future. Sooner or later, at best, they would offer you certain short-term gains, but they will soon backfire. I have seen it in 30 years plus. You cannot survive. Hold your head high. Indeed, prosper in your career by playing all of those contrary strategies. There is a way to play this game. And the problem is that many who complain are not willing to learn, they are not willing to take responsibility. Look, if you are complaining that one man is doing witchcraft, that's why I ask, okay, now, are you going to resign from the company, or are you going to report to management that this man is doing witchcraft in order to make progress? Won't everybody laugh at you? Can you prove witchcraft? Can you? Can the management outlaw witchcraft? Have you seen a place where the management said, ladies and gentlemen, there must be no witchcraft in this company? They are assuming responsibility, for being able to prove that anybody is doing witchcraft. The person who is sitting next to you, do you know what she put in her mouth before she started out, to work that morning? Meanwhile, you have been working with her for 5 years. Now you are talking about witchcraft. Okay, if witchcraft is what she knows to do, what are you doing? Witchcraft are you doing? You have chosen to get out of the game, and they are on the turf, they are playing. And then, like, some people said, Ebenezer said, and some people will say, oh no, it's against my faith, I'm a Christian and all of that. Did your faith tell you that didn't your faith tell you to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling? What do you think your faith was talking about? Your faith was saying, don't allow any system to work against you, because you are empowered to do certain things to make sure that in every system you come out tops. So people fold their arms, they don't play. And when you are not in a game, it doesn't mean you are not playing. Really, all it means is that you have chosen to be a passive player. Passive players don't win any game. Only active players win. And the active players, unfortunately, are the bad players. And they are only bad and prominent because those who can play good, they left the field for them to play. And I use Nigeria typically as an example. It's convenient and comfortable for you and I to talk down politics in Nigeria, but it's only because you and I are not there in the field playing. We are not playing. We are busy saying we can't play, we are not evil, we are not this, we are not that. Okay, so how are you going to bring about a change when you don't get in the ring to play? How? How will that happen? All right, so you would see that the choice of strategy is not office politics. Office politics is a system that describes how the stakeholders in any organization obtain outcomes in the pursuit of their legitimate interests. That's what office politics is. It's a game of outcomes. So you want certain outcomes in that your workplace. You have to get in the ring. You must take responsibility. First, now, if you understand that this is what it is, then, we address the issue of your mindset. Is this thing going anywhere? It is present everywhere. In every organization, it is present. Not because the people want it to be present, but because anywhere you have people gathered and there is something at stake, there is going to be that system in place. It's not the people and wherever you have people, you will have those who are doing things right. You will have those who are doing things wrong. Isn't that why we have right or wrong? Okay? Sorry, let me adjust myself away from I'm sitting somewhere where there's a lot of sun rays here. All right, so this is the point. and I hope that we can all see. So if you have had misgivings about office politics, my question to you would be, is it against the system, or is it against how people have chosen to play? And then, do you have an interest yourself? Can you please explain to me how you have been pursuing your interest? And are you willing to take responsibility for the outcomes? Because every person's outcome is determined by how they have pursued their interests. It may surprise you that some people have no interest properly defined in their workplaces. They're just working like everybody else. And, they're happy to collect a salary at the end of the month. They are fine. If that's all you are doing, then you're going to have it tough, because you'll be exposed, you'll be naked, and while others are playing, you will bear the brunt of their play. So that's it, and that's about the basics of how the system operates, and I think I should stop there. Of course, like I said, there is a way to play. Because the system I've described to you is a system of power and influence. It's a system of relationships, because people are the core of every organization. And so you want to play to win, you have to learn how to make that happen. Thank you very much. I think I should stop there.
Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate you. That's very, very educative and insightful. We really appreciate. All participants should please, we can start typing in our questions for Dr. Shobodu, so that he can, give us more insights and address our questions one by one, please. Mr. Ebenezer, do you have any question from your hand?
Yes, there's a question in the chat, but somebody sent it to me. I have some questions with me that I would like Doctor to help us to just address in one way or the other. Read from the chat box, please.
Okay. Okay, so the question asked here is that what are the strategies of overcoming and standing distinguished? Yes, what are the strategies of overcoming and standing distinguished?
Okay, well, I don't know what the question means by strategies of overcoming. Overcoming what? But maybe standing distinguished in the workplace,
Yes.
as one who is able to hold his or her head high, as one who more times than not is well treated. The outcomes that you get are outcomes that you're happy with, and that means being recognized for your work, being promoted, being regarded, well regarded, being respected, and stuff like that. There are a host of things that you can do. But let me, say, I'm just going to touch on two things. First of all, one of the greatest mistakes that people make is that they don't differentiate themselves in the workplace. They work like everybody else. You know, you don't bring yourself to a position where, your office can't do without you, or would have to think twice before they mess with you. If you have put yourself in a place where you offer value that they know they can't do without, nobody, you will stand strong. Okay, you will stand strong. So I ask people, what is it that differentiates you from others? How do you differentiate yourself in very tangible, very credible ways? All right, that you stand out of the pack is one of the ways, of surviving in a system like that. The second that I would draw attention to is that, how many people know you in your organization and what are you known for? All right. How many people know you and what are you known for? Many people are not known. They think that they are doing such a great job, they are performing, they are focused on their job, but they are not known. All right. The people who take decisions don't know you. So when your name is mentioned, not many people can relate to it. Now, there is no way that you would not be at a disadvantage relative to somebody that is known, that is visible, in the workplace. Okay, some people just like to keep to themselves. It doesn't work. All right, we're not. It's not that you should go around just be talking here and there and be a nuisance to everybody. Is that you need to develop some very strategic relationships. All right. No man can be an island. Like the Bible says, woe unto him who is alone. You understand? So don't isolate yourself. Put yourself out there. Whatever it is you have, if it is not showcased, people will not know. So you may even be different. You may even bring value to the table. But nobody knows because you're not interacting with others. All right. And therefore, things will work against you. All right. Let me leave those two. They are so instructive that if those are the only two things you focus on, you will see how things will change for you at the workplace. I mean, there are many other things, but they are so instructive, and the average person doesn't pay attention to that. The average person doesn't pay attention to that.
Thank you so much, sir. That's very, very educative. Really appreciate. From my own hand, I would try to. I would love if you could give more insight about maybe hints on strategies that we could imbibe. In our choice of um, trying to. What am I saying? In trying to come up with strategies, just give us hints on things we could do in coming up with, good strategies in our workplace.
Well, there are a couple of things that first of all, I think, the attitude towards the workplace needs to change. Now you need to approach your work with understanding of how the environment works. Hitherto, you have been naive enough to think, that you and that other, employee colleague of yours, that you are in it for the same thing. Hitherto, you have had all these myths about office politics. So the first thing you want to do is to be sure that you are not held down by all those myths, that your mindset, is changed and you are ready to take responsibility for your work through that organization. You must be ready to take responsibility, to know that no man owes you anything. The organization owes you nothing if you like. All right. Yes, you can say that, The organization is supposed to train you, is supposed to do all of that. Now, the reason that I say the organization owes you nothing is because you are not the only one. There are many of you. And organizations don't necessarily, can't be interested in you more than you are in yourself. No organization can plan your career for you. Forget all of that talk. We have seen it. If you don't take responsibility, for where you are going and how you intend to get there, you will be disappointed. It doesn't matter the organization that you work for. But if you are not conscious, of that from day one, now you need to address that. You need to wake up, and take the bull by the horns and take responsibility. But you see, the beauty of the organization is that if you know what you do, you will shine like 1,000 stars. All right? You will shine like 1,000 stars. I'll give you an example. There are some people, their bosses recommend them, to get involved in other activities in the organization. Okay, so they nominate them to be a member of a committee or a member of a special task force or a team, in addition to the job that they are doing. A lot of employees will be complaining that what I'm doing is enough for this man. He's just adding more work to me and all of that. They will complain. First of all, your boss gets to know about the complaint. It doesn't help you. Secondly, that is supposed to be a vital opportunity for you to showcase yourself, and you will miss out on the opportunity. That is also supposed to be an opportunity to understand, who you are, who are your competitors in the organization. So you meet with other people. You can assess yourself relative to them. You are doing an assignment together. If you see people who are more capable than you are, don't you know that you need to brace up? But if you didn't, take advantage of that interaction, you will be thinking of yourself as a local champion, in your small area. You don't know that there are people in other places, that have gone well ahead of you in terms of knowledge, in terms of skill, maybe even in terms of dressing. And I can tell you that there are people also who don't even pay attention to how they dress. They don't pay attention to how they present themselves. And when the time comes, they want to be manager, they want to be senior manager, they want to be, but there are others. The only reason that management may favor them above you to hold a higher position is that they present themselves more. They look more like people that can represent the company outside, unlike you who hasn't taken your job seriously. Some people will say, yes, but how much are they paying me? What will I wear? I beg, I'm okay. This one that I'm wearing is okay. Is that so? You will soon discover. When things begin to work against you and you are not favored, that's when you'll be shouting his office politics. But the same people, who are dressing properly, the same people who are learning to speak good English, the same people, who are learning to be cultured, the same people, who are beefing up themselves in different areas, they also work in the environment. They also earn the same kind of salary. Okay? That's how people, put themselves into disadvantage. I could go on and on. There's a program that I have where, over and above, some of these issues, I try to draw attention to, I call that program 15 demands you must never make at the workplace. Some of us make demands that put us in disadvantage at the workplace. In the quest, we think that we're asking for our rights. There is what to ask for. There is what never to ask for. Because if you ever ask for certain things, you put yourself in permanent disadvantage. I can give you a simple illustration. A simple illustration is that some of us are like prodigal, staff. We are prodigal in our disposition. We ask for what we are not entitled to. We're asking for promotion when we are not there. When, our bosses don't believe that we are matured enough. When we don't have what it takes. All right. And we make it look as if it's our boss who is against us and all of that. Some people don't understand that there are some positions you must not sit on until and unless you have certain things. And the one who has a responsibility to ensure that you don't destroy yourself by any inordinate ambition is your boss. But they will fight their boss thinking that their boss doesn't like them. That's why he's not pushing them forward. But their boss is not pushing them forward for their own sake because they don't have what it takes to survive on that seat yet. But they will not agree. Now, just like the prodigal son, if they pressure their boss so much and the man say, okay, no problem, I will recommend you, and they recommend you and they put them on that seat, that may be the end of their career. Because one or two things will happen, they get sacked, and that's the end. I've seen it again and again. Again and again. So there are some things you must not ask for. I list about 15 of them, but that's beyond the scope of this session. It's just to give you a sense that there are things to do, there are things not to do. You understand? It's all about this game called office politics. But there are staff, they don't know it. They are not focusing on it. And unfortunately, they will not spend their money to learn it. When it happens, they will start complaining. They will start complaining. One of the greatest things that can be your undoing in this game is not being a person in constant pursuit of knowledge and learning. Somebody said, and I will close with this example. Somebody said, expressing disgust about office politics. He says, I understand it. I've seen it work. He said, for example, a friend of mine who has spent 11 years in the company just lost, a promotion to somebody who has only spent 2 years. So somebody joined the company 2 years ago. The person was promoted above, somebody who had been in the company for 11 years. Now, and he said that's because of office politics. Is that true? You need to, that's too general a statement to make. I mean, is that really true? Is that really true? It would be nice to ask a few questions. My suspicion is that it's not a big deal spending 11 years. What does 11 years entitle you to? If you have been with a company 11 years and you never improved on yourself, for example, you didn't develop yourself, you are still an illiterate, and I mean, in terms of technology or in terms of IT, and somebody was brought in 2 years ago who is more IT literate, don't you think that that person will be favored, all right, to be assigned certain responsibilities than somebody who has been around for 11 years? It's not about the length of time. It's about, the nature of work is changing itself, all right? So if it is possible that that person, was played himself out by not improving himself despite having been in the system for 11 years. So the person is seeing the system change, but he is not changing. He is not repositioning himself to ensure that he remains continually relevant. Is counting years. Unfortunately, things like that happen to those kinds of people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. That That's very wonderful. Mr. Ebenezer, please, for the sake of those just joining us, I would like you to just give an overall excerpt of the key points of what Doctor have been able to, enlighten us with before we call it a day today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel. I really appreciate. I want to say a very big thank you for to our guest speaker tonight. I don't think he's currently in Nigeria. I think you are not on the continent as of now. You can see the weather and everything. Thank you so much, sir. All right. You said a few things that I, I, I must confess that I've really learned a lot of things tonight. Most especially being conscious, being conscious that all of these elements, intricacies, play out in our workplace. Now, you said something that is not about the length of time, but it's about value. And
Hmm.
once the system changes, you need to change to remain relevant,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Now, I want to summarize the talk tonight. I now understand the reason why you were insisting on the basics. I was, saying, let's go this way, let's go this way. No, you were insisting that the basics is very fundamental. That once participants grab the basics, whatever the strategy they can, self-develop the strategy. They can come up from they can come up with many ways they can maneuver also. So this night you've told us many things, but into three. Number one thing you told us that what is office politics. Also, you went ahead to ask, is office politics bad or good? Which we even explain religiously and some evidence. Then the third one, we now you know put our mind on how to survive. I mean, how to survive office politics in terms of coming up with different strategies. The way we dress, the part of the strategies, relationship, power dynamics. You see, how what to ask and what not to ask, right? Then are there competitors in organization? Then being aware of office politics, being aware that everything you do, actually is not all about skills. It's not all about the technical skill you need to have to do your work, but about the social skills, being able to, have friends. mm, Then also just be aware of it. I want to really appreciate it that personally I've really learned a lot tonight. And one key thing I'm taking away is becoming aware of all of these things. That even though it will not play or it will not affect my current thing now, but when there's need, probably there's promotion, I want to show up, or there are some, reorganization or re-engineering in organization, then all these things will be looked into. Thank you so much for taking your time, free of charge, spending your evening with us in Nigeria, but your afternoon with us over there. We just want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we promise that from our various places of work, we will make you proud. We'll make you proud. Make you proud. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
Mr.
Thank you. It's
Samuel,
been
over
a
to you, sir.
pleasure.
Thank you so much, Dr. Olatunji Shobodu. We really appreciate you for coming on board tonight, and we are very much grateful for the opportunity because we value it so much. We are not taking it for granted, and we pray that may the good God bless you so much and continue to enrich you. Thank you so much, sir, and have a wonderful night's rest. Thank you so much. On
Thank you
this
very
note,
much.
Let's
we'll call.
let's let's everybody unmute their mic and just to say a word of appreciation to the doctor tonight. Then Mr. Shegun should help us to do the closing remarks. Mr. Shegun is one of our patron on the platform. So, all right, please let's unmute our mic and let's say hello to and appreciate our guest speaker tonight. Then Mr. Shegun Akoni should please help us to say final remarks.
Okay, good evening all. My name is
Good evening, sir.
Udeme Umo is my name. I'm speaking from River State, Port Harcourt precisely. Before I joined the class, I was asked what am I expecting from the program. And I did write that I want to be more visible. And I'm glad I heard the presenter this evening mention what visibility means. And it resonates with me when he said, I need to work out my salvation with fear and trembling. I had a narrow understanding of it, but thank you for expanding my mind on what it means and why I am the only one that owe myself the responsibility of generating the strategy to reach where I want to reach in life. I'm grateful for this class, and I want to say thank you and thank you and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Shegun, please can you help us to just say, give us a pattern speech to give the guest speaker a pattern speech. Mr. Shegun Akonisa, are you still here?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Sorry, I joined you guys late, so I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. I was stuck in traffic. Well, from precedent of Mr. Ebenezer, I'm sure he always delivered very educative material. So what I can say is that whatever he has said, I believe you guys should take it to heart. And he's also an easygoing person. So even if you are not sure, you can always reach him. And if he does not pick, we'll get back to you. Whatever he has equipped us with, believe me that I'm sure it will work, because he did show me the practical way of how his words are sometime last year. And that is why I always support him whenever I can. I was a banker for over 19 years, and now I'm running my own business. And I can see the difference between a salary earner and a businessman now. It's not easy for business people out there. So if you have a job that your salary, that they are paying you salary regularly, please be diligent in whatever it is that you are doing. Be committed, knowing that yes, you will leave that place possibly to do your own, so that it's the same strength that you use there that you also use doing your own business. And the grace of God that was with you there will also be with you here, because you were diligent in what you were doing. I just want to encourage us all to be a better ambassador of ourselves, and God will help us all. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Doctor, do you have any message for the people? Probably you are running a program, you want people to subscribe, also just 30 seconds to share with people and the rest. That some of them want to take the conversation a bit further.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I wasn't, going to speak about that since that was not my mandate. But thanks for giving me that opportunity. Okay. Well, like I said, we do. The free program. Is offered. Is 15 reasons to engage and win at office politics. That is just to address the issue of your mindset and to get you to see why it is imperative that you take office politics seriously and that you engage in it. But there is an advanced program, so we use that to lay the foundation. Then you can go on to the one that discusses the strategy, there is a way to play, and you need to learn it. And that's called winning at office politics. Winning at office politics. Then, of course, there are some others that try to build on that. For the women, there is workplace politics for women, which we had to develop because women, though they need the general knowledge of how to play, the odds are stacked against women in the workplace. There are challenges that women face that men do not face. So that program is specifically for women. I draw attention to the things that women must pay attention to, in order for them to be strong in, the workplace. And as a man who has dealt with women all through more than 30 years, and I've seen them rise, I think I have what it takes to counsel on that. Then I talked about the other program, which is 15 reasons why, the 15 demands you must never make at the workplace. And I think that's also something that, people need to know. Another name for that is workplace winning etiquette. There's a protocol about how to conduct yourself in the workplace. Fortunately, many people don't know. And that will help, because once you know that, also it helps your ability, to survive and to win. Let me stop there. There are others. We essentially do leadership development training. I will send you some links that you can forward, that you can share with your colleagues, and you can find information on the various programs, and whoever wants to participate can go ahead, and do so. All right, I'll send those links, maybe latest by tomorrow. Hopefully you can share with others. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you to every one of the participants tonight. Of course, you understand that some of us have, just like Mr. Shevin is saying that you have, the traffic and everything like that. Those want to appreciate you for making it to tonight's call. And I'm very sure we have planned one or two things. Let's be good ambassador of ourselves and wish you well in our career life. Thank you and have a wonderful night rest. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Minister. Thank you, sir. Just Samuel, bye bye. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Victor, thank you. Mr. Wolabi, Ajibon now. We didn't hear your voice.